Welcome to Dual-Sided. This is our mock draft 1.0 of the 2021 NFL draft, and we spent time making this, watching film, even though we're not experts, obviously. But it's fun to do these. We're not just a sports channel, but anytime there's like a big big news, whether it's NFL, football, NBA, UFC, even
entertainment, anything
world news, we'll cover that. Overall, it's we'll cover anything, and we'll try to be
the first ones and the quickest ones.
We'll try to get these out as soon as possible.
Yeah, so subscribe, follow us on social media at Dual-Sided down below. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and
enjoy.
For the first pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Trevor Lawrence, QB out of Clemson, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, this guy is 6'6", 220, obviously physically gifted, big arm, and overall, it's a no-brainer ever since the Jags clinched the first pick. There's no doubt that this was who they were going with. And, there's really no concerns about him at all. I can't think of any. In 3 seasons at Clemson, he threw for 90 touchdowns and only 17 interceptions with over 10,000 yards. And he rushed for 943 yards with 18 touchdowns. So, he's not just a pocket passer. He can move around. He can make plays with his legs. And, overall, when I see him play, he's in the pocket, he reminds me a bit of Peyton Manning. And outside the pocket, Andrew Luck. And, that's 2 good quarterbacks to have in your basket of traits. So, overall, this is obviously a great pick for the Jags.
For the second pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Zach Wilson, QB out of BYU, going to the New York Jets.
Yeah, this was pretty much the thought process all along with the Jets. Even before they traded Sam Darnold, trading Sam Darnold even furthered their decision that they're going to go with this guy. At 6'3", 210, he's a little he's not built that thick as you see in like Justin Fields. So you worry about him taking hits, but he's very accurate with the ball. And this past season, he threw for 33 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions, with a completion percentage of 73.5%. His anticipation, timing, and playmaking, outweighs the questions of the competition concerns that many had. He can obviously extend plays with his legs, very athletic. And, just watching his game, he's got a lot of Patrick Mahomes in his arsenal and, a little bit of Aaron Rodgers in the sense of, the throwing motion, makes it look so effortlessly, with the flick of the wrist. And, overall, hopefully this guy goes into New York and saves that franchise.
With the third pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Justin Fields, QB out of the Ohio State, going to the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, this is, as the days go along with, as we get closer to the draft, it's becoming more apparent to most people that, the talk about Mac Jones going to San Fran at 3 is all just BS. It's not true at all. And, I get the fit with Mac Jones and Shanahan. He's got similar traits with Matt Ryan and some with Kirk Cousins, but you can't. There's no way that they traded 3 first-round picks for Mac Jones. A guy who has probably the, you can make an argument that he's the most ready between Fields and Lance, but ceiling-wise, it's not even close. Fields and Lance are ways ahead. And it's gonna be either Fields or Lance, and as we get closer, I have a hunch that it's gonna be Fields at 6'3", 228. He's got good size that you need in a quarterback. He can take hits. He's probably the best athlete out of any of these quarterbacks. He can extend plays with his legs. There's concerns about his. Recently there's been concerns about his throwing motion. It's uncommon, but I'm not a quarterback expert, but he's shown in his college career that it doesn't matter what type of throwing motion he's had, has been able to perform. This past season, in only 8 games, he threw for 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions with a completion percentage of 70%. And he also ran for 81 times and 383 yards with 5 touchdowns. And the past year, 2019, with 14 games, he threw for 41 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and had a completion percentage of 67, and also ran for 484 yards with 10 touchdowns. Overall, it's a great fit with Shanahan. He saw firsthand what in the Super Bowl a few years back with going up against Mahomes, what a quarterback with some mobility can do. And Fields is gonna open up that playbook, and it's gonna be fun to watch.
With the 4th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Trey Lance, QB out of North Dakota State University, going to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, this is the wild card of the draft with this 4th pick. The Falcons could trade back, with a team like the Broncos or the Lions, maybe even, and the Patriots. Those are 3 teams to look at. This is the Falcons. They're mingled with Matt Ryan with his contract, so they could go Kyle Pitts or Penei Sewell, but in reality, I think that if they stay at 4, they're going to take a quarterback of the future, and Trey Lance there, he's definitely had people say he has the highest upside, and it obviously wouldn't hurt him to sit behind Matt Ryan for a year or 2, and he has all the physical tools. It's just it's about development, and we saw with Josh Allen a few years back. He was a very wild quarterback, and the Bills polished him into a good quarterback. And in 2020 he only had 1 game, so you can't look at that 1 game where he struggled with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. But 2019 is what got him here. He threw for 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, and had a completion percentage of 66.9%. He also ran the ball 169 times for 1,100 yards with 14 touchdowns. So, Trey Lance, boom or bust quarterback, but the Falcons, why not take a chance here? You could hit, you could miss, but if you hit, you got your quarterback of the future.
With the 5th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Penei Sewell, offensive tackle out of Oregon, going to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, this is the smart pick, and this is the pick that the Bengals have to make. It's obviously tempting to go with Pitts or Chase, but you have to protect your quarterback, and you saw it last season. He had virtually nothing in front of him, and that cost him his ACL. And if you want to pass on Sewell, just be prepared to take a quarterback in a few seasons, because this is a generational talent in a tackle, and obviously it's not a sexy pick, but in the long run it's gonna help out by protecting your quarterback.
With the 6th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got JaMarr Chase, wide receiver out of LSU, going to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, this is Dolphins obviously traded back from 3 to 12, and obviously traded back into the top 10. So obviously they got a player in mind, whether it's Pitts or Chase. We'll find out on draft day, but I have a feeling it's going to be Chase, just because you need a wideout for your young quarterback, and see what he has for the whether he has the potential or the ability to be the franchise guy. Chase is at 6'2", and he sat out this past season due to the pandemic. But 2019, he had a phenomenal year: 84 receptions, 1,780 yards with 20 touchdowns. So obviously, if he came out last season, if he was eligible, he probably would have been the first wide receiver taken. So yeah, this is a great pick for the Dolphins, and surround your young quarterback with weapons.
With the 7th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida, going to the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, this is that's 7. The Lions, I feel like they're going to pick between, whoever's left over between Chase or Pitts. And in this case, it's Pitts. But, obviously at 6'6", 245, this guy is more, he's a hybrid tight end. So, he's like a wide receiver. He can flat out run. And with the Lions, they have a history of drafting tight ends in the top 10. In 2000 and what year was it? 2014, they drafted Eric Ebron with the 10th pick, and then in 2019 they took T.J. Hawkinson at 8. So, obviously, some fans may not welcome the idea of taking a tight end, but this guy is generational talent, and he many people compare him to Megatron, and why not give the guy you traded for, Jared Goff, a big time weapon, and with Pitts.
With the 8th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle out of Northwestern, going to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, this is a pick, maybe a few weeks ago or a week ago, really. You would think that this would be a team that's, in the mix of trading up with, the Falcons, even though they would never trade within the division. But this was a team that, you had a expectation that they were going to take a quarterback. But with the trade for Sam Darnold, you had you're pretty much surrounding him with weapons, and, now let's see what he's made of. But, you got a hole on at tackle, and taking Rashawn Slater, who, he can really play. He was very impressive a few seasons back against Chase Young, who obviously, is with the Washington football team, and what he can do. But you gotta protect your quarterback of the future if he is. But this is a good pick overall.
With the 9th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa, linebacker out of Notre Dame, going to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, this is the Broncos, obviously, we expect them to target a quarterback, and obviously this is a no trade mock draft. So at 9, you're left with Mac Jones, who I wouldn't mind if that's who George Payton and the company, if they believe in him, I'm all for that. But this is a player that you can probably it's probably a little too rich to take him here, but he's got the talent, and at middle linebacker he can play. He's a hybrid linebacker, so his you can put him at safety in the box or at linebacker, and he can run sideline to sideline. And that's something we've missed since, frankly, since after Super Bowl 50. After we got rid of Dana Trevathan, we've had that hole on our defense, and drafting him, hopefully we can contain the tight ends in our division, with Waller and Kelsey. And, this I wouldn't be mad at this pick at all.
With the 10th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Patrick Surtain, the second cornerback out of Alabama, going to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, with his Surtain's father, who was a Pro Bowl corner, recently came out not too long ago, and said he hopes that the Cowboys take his son. At 6'2", 208, this he's got length in the sense that you need in a corner. Pair him up with the Trayvon Diggs, the corner that they took round 2 last year. And, both got, both are pretty lanky for cornerbacks, and this past season he had a pick, and overall this guy's got tremendous physical tools, and obviously the Cowboys need help on defense, and this would be a good step in the right direction for the Cowboys.
With the 11th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State, going to the New York Giants.
Yeah, at 6'3", 246. This is a big linebacker. And there's a misconception about him, at least within Broncos fans. A lot of people think that this guy is a inside linebacker. But he's an edge rusher, and I thought about putting him at 9 for the Broncos, but I'm just not ready to move on from Von Miller. I think he has a lot of he has a lot of room in the tank, to be honest. But there's concerns about Micah Parsons in terms of his character, and the Giants, hopefully they with Gettleman, hopefully they can put that in check with Joe Judge. And at 11, a few months ago, this would be a player that you would be talking about going in the top 10 or even top 5 for some teams. And there's obviously concerns about him, but this in 2019 he had 5 sacks and 4 forced fumbles, and so this is a good pick and for the Giants.
With the 12th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Devonta Smith, wide receiver out of Alabama, going to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, there's concerns about him for his size at 6 foot 170. He's not the biggest guy, but at pick 12, you have the choice between Waddle and him. Waddle is more, he's more like a Henry Ruggs. He's more of a speedster, but with Smith, his all-around polished wide receiver. You're obviously not drafting him, to block. You're drafting him to make plays, and the Eagles have had, a whole lot wide receiver for so long, and they took Reagor last year over Justin Jefferson, which was obviously confusing to many. And this past season with the Heisman winner, he had 1,856 yards, had 117 receptions and 23 touchdowns. So, yeah, you get Hurts, his wide receiver of choice, and obviously, these guys played together at Alabama for, I don't know if it was 1 season or 2, but yeah, this is obviously a pick that you got to make to at least, you got to give your young quarterback some weapons to see if he has the ability to be the answer for them. So, this is the right pick for them.
With the 13th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Jalen Waddle, wide receiver out of Alabama, going to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, this was a pick that it's not really it's not about need, because, they got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jalen Guyton, who had a good season, and he's got speed. But, at 13, if Waddle is there, why not take him? He's got the speed. A lot of people say he's quicker and faster than Tyreek Hill. And, I don't know about that, but, why not give your young quarterback more weapons? Obviously, at 13, they could go wide receiver, but likely it could be corner or an offensive lineman, to protect Justin Herbert. But, I don't think anyone would be mad if they took Waddle.
With the 14th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Kwity Paye, edge out of Michigan, going to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, this is a player that a lot of people are, either really high on, or, they think that, they're not so high on him. But, the Vikings, with Zimmer, they got a history of drafting defensive players, and, at 6'3", 261, what's not to like about his, build? This past season he had 2 sacks. In 2019 he had 6.5 sacks. And yeah, they looking at their defensive edge rushers, there really isn't many that I can see. They had what was his name? What is his name? I forgot his name, but it doesn't look like he's here. But they have Daniil Hunter, but not the other guy, the guy who got arrested. But why not take him and put him on the other side and have him rush the quarterbacks? So it's a good pick.
With the 15th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Mac Jones, QB out of Alabama, going to the New England Patriots.
Yeah, this is obviously Mac Jones. A lot of people expected him to go at 3 even, and he falls out the top 10. But there's no question that he has a talent. This past season, what a phenomenal season. He had 41 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions with 4,500 yards. So, obviously Bill Belichick has, a relationship with Nick Saban. So, I think this is the easiest pick, to be honest, unless his putting smoke screen out there that he likes him. But I think Mac Jones to New England is a perfect fit for both parties, and yeah, he can bring back that franchise after Brady leaving. And when I watch this game, he doesn't have the, obviously he's probably the least athletic quarterback in the draft. So he doesn't have the mobility as the other guys. But when I watch this game a lot, I can't lie, and I see a lot of Tom Brady in his movements, and just obviously it's not Tom Brady, but at 15, why not take the quarterback who had the most successful season out of any of these quarterbacks this year? So yeah, Mac Jones at 15.
With the 16th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got J.C. Horn, cornerback out of South Carolina, going to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, pick 16. This is if he falls this far, this is a great pick. This was a player that, I really wouldn't mind it taking him at 9, because I think he's the best corner in the draft. And, obviously Richard Sherman came out on, I think his podcast, and said that, it's not Surtain or Farley that are his favorite corner in the draft, but it's J.C. Horn. He's got the physical tools at 6'1", 205. This past season, he had 2 interceptions. And, with obviously the Cardinals, they moved on from longtime corner Patrick Peterson. And I think this is a perfect fit. And, this would be a great pick to bring this guy in with for your defense.
With the 16th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Christiandarasaw, offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech, going to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, obviously, the Raiders are obviously the hardest team to mock, picks for, because, you never know with John Gruden and Mayock. So, this is a team that got rid of Richie Incognito. They released him. They got rid of Gabe Jackson, and they traded away Trent Brown. So they have holes on the offensive line. And, if they kept those guys, they obviously had holes on the defensive side. But, you never know. But, in my opinion, they got to get a tackle. And it could very well be the tackle that no one expects. It could be, anyone. It could, yeah. So I think a tackle is definitely at the top of their list.
With the 18th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Gregory Rousseau, edge out of Miami, going to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, this is a freak of nature at 6'7", 266. The Dolphins, looking at their depth chart, they have Christian Wilkins and Emmanuel Ogbah, 2 guys. And, bringing Rousseau out of Miami to Miami, why not? It's a great fit. In 2019, he had a phenomenal season. 15.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, just, all around obviously didn't play last season, but, I think this is a no-brainer. Miami Hurricane to Miami Dolphin.
With the 19th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Rashod Bateman, wide receiver out of Minnesota, going to the Washington football team.
Yeah, this is this gets to the point where, you look at teams and, this is the player that, I really like. At 6 foot 190, and he plays even bigger than his size. And, they signed Adam Humphries this offseason, but that shouldn't change your draft strategy. And, the question is, with the Washington football team, there's been reports that they're targeting trading up for a quarterback, whether it's Lance or Fields or Mac Jones. So, it could be, they could trade up, but from pick 19, it's, that's a far trade up, but, they got Fitzpatrick. This is honestly a team that I see targeting a quarterback, but, at this position, Bateman is a great pick at wide receiver.
With the 20th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Greg Newsome II, cornerback out of Northwestern, going to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, with the Bears, they got a lot of holes, quarterback in, particular. I know for a fact they're not content with Andy Dalton at quarterback. And so as the last pick, the Bears are going to be a team that are probably going to target a quarterback, whether it's, in the first round or later. At 20, they could go up and, go up in front of New England and snatch Mac Jones if they like him. I don't think his is really a fit with Nagy's offensive style, but, at cornerback, they got rid of Kyle Fuller, his, great signing by my Denver Broncos, and, they let go of him. And obviously they got a hole there, and Greg Newsome, to many, is a very underrated cornerback. At 6 foot 192, this is and coming from Northwestern, close by, at pick 20, this is a good pick for the Bears.
With the 21st pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Elijah VeraToca, offensive line out of USC, going to the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, for many, they see this guy as interior lineman, but they got holes there too. But they could play him there. They could play him at tackle, but really they lost, I think, Anthony Costanzo this offseason, which is a big loss. You traded for Carson Wentz, and who has a history of, not being able to take hits, and succeed, and taking a tackle here, his 6'5", 308. This is you got to protect your quarterback in this league. And, Frank Reich, he knows that, and taking VeraToca here is a smart move to solidify that offensive line and protect your quarterback once.
With the 22nd pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of Florida, going to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, the Titans, they lost a few weapons in Humphries. They lost Corey Davis to the Jets, and then they obviously lost Jonnu Smith to the Patriots. So I think a weapon here is definitely in the list of possibilities. And Kadarius Toney, 5'11", 189. He's got speed. Ran a 4.39 at the. He ran a 4.39 40-yard dash, and obviously there's questions whether whether you should trust the 40 at pro days, but watching his, I've watched this guy on tape, and this, he can fly. This past season he had 70 receptions, 984 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And yeah, this is a good overall pick for the Titans. Get Tannehill, a speedster, and match him outside along, the opposite side of A.J. Brown.
With the 23rd pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Caleb Farley, cornerback out of Virginia Tech, going to the New York Jets.
Yeah, this is obviously other than Trey Lance at quarterback position, this is the wild card of the whole draft, really. He had back surgery mid-March, and obviously that's serious for a cornerback. And at pick 23, this is a good value pick. If he pans out, what a great pick this was. And if it doesn't, you only spend a late first round pick. But he had a phenomenal 2019 season. He had 4 picks. And the year before, 2018, he had 2 picks. And he obviously sat out last season. Which if people have concerns about that, I don't know. But he can fly. 6'2", 207. This is good size in a corner. Obviously, the Jets don't have. Looking at their depth chart, they don't really have. They have Bleshawn Austin, Javelin Guidry. They don't have any cornerbacks. Bryce Hall, he's a good corner, but that's definitely in the list after taking Zach Wilson. If they take Farley, what a draft that would be.
With the 24th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Jalen Phillips, edge out of Miami, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, with the Steelers, they lost Bud Dupree, who was, he had a lot of good production there alongside TJ Watt. This is a team that, they lost James Conner. They could go running back route, but, with Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, but, I'm not that high on taking running back in the first round. So, but Phillips, he's a wild card himself. He's got issues off the field that, people have concerns about his character, medical issues. But he had a productive season this past year. He had 8 sacks and, at 6'6", 260, you're getting good size, and, that's scary to see him on one side and see TJ Watt on the other. That would be a scary sight to see.
With the 25th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Trayvon McGhee, safety out of TCU, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, the Jags, they took Lawrence number 1. Taking McGhee at 25, you got your playmaker on the offensive side of the ball. If, they take McGhee, you got your defensive playmaker. He's a free safety, 6'1", 202. This past season, he had 2 interceptions, and this guy can really play out of TCU. Just good size, good ball production, and this would be a great pick for the Jags if they snagged McGhee.
With the 26th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Zaven Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa, going to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, with the Browns, they just signed Jadeveon Clowney as of a few days back. Taking Zaven Collins, who's more of an inside linebacker, and looking at their depth chart, they have Taki, they got Mac Wilson, so they could go different route, to be honest, but at linebacker at 6'5", 259, you can't argue with his production last season. He had 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and he had 4 interceptions, which is the 5th most of FBS. And if they got this guy, it would be a good fit to their defensive side of the ball.
With the 27th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Azeez Ojulari, edge out of Georgia, going to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, this is a pick of need, and honestly, a good pick. They lost Yannick Ngakoue to the Raiders this offseason, and picking Ojulari, he had 5.5 sacks this past season, 2 forced fumbles. 2019, he also had 5.5 sacks. So consistent. Bringing him in on the defensive side of the ball could be a good fit. Obviously, they got, holes on offensive side of the ball in terms of wide receiver. They could take a wide out here, but, that's losing Ngakoue is a big loss. And if Ojulari is here, this would be a great pick for the Ravens.
With the 28th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Sante Samuel Jr., cornerback out of Florida State, going to New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, 5'10", 180. He's he's a little undersized for what you want in a corner, but cornerback is definitely a position that, with Marshon Lattimore, that question with, his arrest, with, what's going to happen with him, whether he's going to get suspended, it's to be seen. But, this past season he had 3 picks, 1 forced fumble, and, this guy is a playmaker even though he is undersized. He's a dog, and, taking him at 28 is a good pick overall.
With the 29th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Tayven Jenkins, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State, going to the Green Bay Packers.
Jenkins is 6'5", 310. The Packers, you never know. Last year proved that, when they needed a wide receiver, they took Jordan Love, and look what that, brought out of Aaron Rodgers. So, if they want another MVP season, why not take who's available? Kyle Trask or Kellen Mond here. But, at tackle, they lost to Bakhtiari. He's coming off an injury. So he'll be out. And so wide receiver is a possibility, but, it was a possibility last year. But taking a tackle here is definitely good to keep, protect Rodgers, taking Jenkins. He's obviously 6'5". That's a good size for a tackle. Put him on the left side, and when Bakhtiari comes back, swing him on the other side.
With the 30th pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama, going to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, best running back in the draft by far. He had a phenomenal career at Alabama, and this past season he had 1,466 yards and 26 touchdowns. He never fumbles the ball. He never fumbled at Alabama. Overall a good workhorse at 6'2", 230. You're getting a good running back. Obviously the Bills, not to pounce on who they have at running back. They have Singletary, Zach Moss, Matt Breida. But I think running back, this is a very, at pick 30, this is a great pick. He's not just a running back. He doesn't know, he's a good receiving back is what I meant to say. So, you're getting best of both worlds. Overall, this would be a great pick for the Bills.
With the 31st pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Jalen Mayfield, offensive tackle out of Michigan, going to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs obviously lost, they let go of quite a few pieces on the offensive line after their Super Bowl debacle. They pretty much just let the Bucs, grab a hold of Mahomes on every play. He was running for his life. Left tackle, you really have nothing there. Lucas Niang. Right tackle, you brought in Mike Remmers, but I'm glad for that. Let's see Von Miller go up against him again. But I think tackle is definitely a big need, whether it's Mayfield or any other tackle. But Mayfield is out of Michigan, 6'5", 326 is a solidifies either side, left or right. To keep your star quarterback Patrick Mahomes upright and healthy.
With the 32nd pick of this year's NFL draft, we got Christian Barmore, defensive tackle out of Alabama, going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, looking at their roster, they really have no holes. Why not fill in, on top of already a solidified defense, bringing in Barmore. This is a player a lot of people are either high on, people saying top 15, or, a lot of people saying, they're, he's not good, including one of their own legends, Warren Sapp, who said, what did he say? He said Christian Barmore isn't even a third-round talent. So, coming from a player of that, of that nature, from that franchise, maybe they'll listen to that. But, at this pick, 32, whether he hits or he doesn't. But at 32, it's not that big of a risk. This past season, he had 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles out of Alabama. Yeah, 6'4", 310. Why not add to an already stacked defense? So that concludes our first mock draft. With the draft a little over a week away, we'll try and have another one the day before, maybe even maybe 2 more. But it was fun making this, and obviously the next one, or if we do another one, we'll try and do trades. Obviously that's tricky to do, but it would be fun to do that. And obviously the draft over a week away, it's going to be exciting and interesting to watch how much, if any, we get correct. So thanks for watching.
Follow us on social media once again at DUALSIGHTED down below.
Yeah, and that's it. Thanks for watching.
Peace.